All right, and that's all I have left to teach you. All that's left to do is look at the board and pick where you want to go next. How do you feel?
Wow, thank you. Let's see. There's so many. Pandaria, Wrath of the Lich King.
Oh, I know. There's so many cool adventures. I bet you
Um,
can't wait to go on all of them.
hmm. Oh, a new one. Shadowlands. That sounds interesting.
You don't want to do that one.
Why?
Trust me. You don't want to do that one. Trust me.
But I get to venture into l- the other world of death and destruction. That sounds fun.
I wouldn't do it. Trust me. It's not worth your mental health. It's not worth the curse that is placed upon your household if you dare enter Shadowlands. I would suggest anything else. Wrath of the Lich King, Pandaria, heck, maybe even Classic. Just do not do Shadowlands.
Too late, bye.
I could have saved him. I tried. Oh, by the light, I tried.
Welcome back to Warcraft Re-Write. My name is Angelite, and as always, I'm joined by Dry. Dry, how are you doing?
Doing fantastic, Angelai, thank you. Today, we have a very special episode because it is officially our first Re-Write episode.
Woo!
Everybody clapped. But Angelai, why don't you introduce what we're talking about?
Yes, originally we wanted to work our way up throughout the expansions and rewrite them into a way that Blizzard should have done it with hindsight, but we're gonna skip. We're gonna skip to the expansion. The whole reason why we even started basically this entire channel, which is. Sorry, it's just hard for me to say. It's Shadowlands.
That's right. Today we're talking about Shadowlands, the expansion that made a lot of people rage quit World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah.
Almost permanently. In fact, one YouTuber quit lore videos entirely because of it. Isn't that right, Eli?
Yes, that would be Pyromancer. The lore made him so angry that he tore down all of his World of Warcraft memorabilia and just switched to, I think, Final Fantasy lore, which is a shame because he had good stuff. I liked his videos. I should go back and see what he's doing. I think he might have came back, but it's so crazy how a YouTuber just shut down through one expansion.
Right? And can I just say good luck with Final Fantasy lore? I hear that's also a mess, so good luck.
Good.
But that's not what we're talking about today. Today is about Shadowlands and how we can fix it and rewrite it. Now, to kind of dive into how to fix it, we kind of have to talk about what's broken.
Do we want to start with the lore or the mechanics?
Let's start mechanics first.
Then that is all you, because I don't know the mechanics.
So
Dry has the floor.
Thank you. My credentials for Shadowlands are I reached 2,000 Mythic rating to get the mounts for Mythic Plus twice in Shadowlands. I've done the dungeons multiple times. I didn't get a world first, but I've done all the raids, done all the storylines in Shadowlands, killed the jailer a bunch of times, crafted my way through. I had the highest item level you could possibly get, and I've emotionally tortured myself throughout this expansion because I tried to convince myself it's not that bad. It's not right, guys.
Yeah, right?
Guys, it's not bad. Unfortunately, it was bad, especially looking back at it. Now, the mechanics for Shadowlands, it started off rough because when you first entered Shadowlands, there was a big deal about got to pick a covenant. Now, what is a covenant, you may ask? Well, it is when you enter the Shadowlands, there are about 4 islands that you can go to when a person dies. Sometimes they go to their ultimate heaven, and then sometimes, if you need a little bit more elbow grease, you go to the 4 islands. And in those islands, you get to pick which one you will be attuned with, who you grow your renown with. And unfortunately, it really depended on your class and your subclass on which one you went to. And that changed throughout the season, by the way. It was not a permanent choice. It was, you had to pick, and at first you had to pick which island you went to. And then, guess what, Angle Eye?
What?
You couldn't change your covenant.
Why not?
Because Blizzard decided that it was going to be a permanent choice which one you picked.
Ugh.
They did not want you to change your covenant at first. And so that was fine, except then they made Mythic Plus so confusing because you couldn't pick! You were like, oh, I'm stuck as in Bastion when I need to go to Ardenweald. And if you were screwed then, nobody would pick you because they're like, well, you're not on the right covenant. You're a Balstrud. You should be in Revendreth. It's like, I can't. Blizzard won't let me pick. That was the roughest part. Was you couldn't pick your covenant, and eventually they did get rid of that, right? Then Anima, which a lot of people, the thing that makes the Shadowlands work, that you could do missions with to get anima, which I'm not sure where we got this anima from, if it's so little. Where did we get this anima from?
Anima, by lore, I believe is souls. Like, it's soul energy.
How many people did I unalive in this process?
Way too many.
Oh, gosh.
Anima was the currency of the Shadowlands, and a lot of things were made of anima, including some helpers themselves. They say that they are made from anima. Which I was like, why don't we just kill a couple of these little guys?
You can't kill cuteness, Angle Eye.
You should have.
No. To change covenants, you couldn't bring your anima with you, by the way. You had to start all over. And you had to redo all your missions over. You had to regain renown with that covenant. You basically started from 0, which was very inconvenient because people wanted to do Mythic Plus and Mythic Raid. And if you were in the wrong covenant, you're like, guys, give me a week. I gotta grind renown and I gotta grind anima to get up with my friends. And a lot of guilds were like, we can't wait for that. So what a lot of people would do, they would have a ton of characters in different covenants with different anima powers because that's what you had to do. Because otherwise you were screwed and you couldn't go to Mythic Raiding or Mythic Pluses anymore. Because Blizzard said, you know what? No, I'm not going to deal with this. That was one of my biggest complaints about the mechanics of Shadowlands, was that they just didn't think it felt like they thought none of it through. It was just a bunch of guesswork.
It was like when they come out with a new patch and they change your tree, your talent tree, and you have to go through it, except for they turned that up to 11. Because now you have to do all this extra stuff to go along with it. And if you didn't, then everybody hated you. And you're like, well, how else am I supposed to do this content? And they're like, I don't care.
Yeah, and it just was rough. It put a lot of players off initially. And another big feature of Shadowlands was Tourgast. Which, Tourgast is a giant building in the Maw, which is this Shadowlands' version of Hell, right? And you had to go through Tourgast, which was just like a bunch of floors of endless enemies that you killed, and then you walked through each door, gaining more anima powers as you went up, and eventually killed the boss and you got rewards. But a bunch of why you did that was actually because to get soul cinders and soul ash to make powerful armor that we basically... The jailer had a guy named the Rune Carver in Tourgast, and we basically say, hey, can you make something from this? because we only freed one of his arms. We didn't free his other arm for some reason.
Hey, I could set you free, but I like free labor.
So we're like, you're gonna work for us, and he's like, I have no choice. I'm literally chained to the wall. And we're like, perfect.
Please set me free, adventure. Yeah, about that.
Turns out, no. You can make gear? Heck yeah, work for us.
I'll do it for free. No, I don't trust you.
Exactly. So, that's kind of the mechanic side. I could go into a lot more detail, but that's just time I don't want to waste complaining about the mechanic side of Shadowlands, because then this would be a 16-part series, and we don't want to milk it.
But those were the main parts of the mechanic problems, you would say?
I would say, yeah. And a lot of the dungeons were easy. They were actually really beautiful. The art team, I mean.
I will say, throughout all of Shadowlands, the art is amazing. I loved it.
It's beautiful, honestly. A lot of Shadowlands, especially Ardenweald. Oh my god.
I mean, if you're a hippie.
Well, not even if you're a hippie. It's just stunning. It's beautiful.
It's shiny. There's glitter in my eye.
But another thing, I forgot all about this. It's been so long. Another thing that they advertised for the Maw was you couldn't mount up in the Maw for a long time. You were basically just kind of screwed. You had to walk everywhere, which is fine, except the Maw is kind of huge.
I guess it adds to the torment feeling.
Yeah, except there was a way around this angle. I'm not sure if you know.
What?
It's called Get Good and being a druid, because I was able to do travel form.
Get
in
good.
the Maw.
Every time there's a new expansion and there's no flying or walking in the zone or underwater swimming druids, I got it. Don't worry about it. Oh, I love this patch. I hate it.
It's true, because as a druid, I just was able to zip anywhere. And of course, I carried my friends on my back because they were able to hop on with me, but I could only carry one, so I had to take trips. I should have done taxi service.
Oh, yeah.
Taxi through the Maw.
Taxi druid. Welcome to Dry Air.
Yeah.
Dry Airlines.
It was bad. It was so bad. And then in the beginning of Shadowlands, you couldn't. There was no skips for the Maw. You had to do it every character. The
introduction story, you mean?
Yeah. Every time that you wanted to take a character through the Maw, you could skip it. It was like, oh, I've heard this tale before. No, you had to do it each and every single time. There was no skips. And once you do it, honestly, the first time it was cool because you're like, wow, new zone. The second time, okay, it's getting a little bit repetitive. And then the third time, you're like, I apparently am a glutton for torture. Wow. But let's get to the lore.
The lore side.
Do you want to start us off?
Absolutely. So, Shadowlands, for those of you that don't know about the expansion or played it or know anything about it whatsoever, Sylvanas Windrunner goes up to ICC, sees Bolfar in his shiny crown and big old hammer, basically takes him down, takes the crown, she's about to put it on maybe, and she breaks it into multiple pieces, shattering the mortal plane between life and death, and it was all a part of her plan. What was that plan? I don't know, but they don't tell you. And then...
It's a secret.
Yes, it's a secret. And remember, the poster child says, no one escapes the Maw. Keep that in mind. Put that in your back pocket. Remember, no one escapes the Maw. No matter who you are.
Right. But we don't know what the Maw is yet. So what happens is that was like the big introduction for the expansion, with Sylvanas breaking the helmet. And then a lead up to it, there were many shorts presented in these beautiful art styles.
Oh, yeah.
That allowed us to kind of see the different areas of Shadowlands.
Kind of understand the vibe before we go in. Because this is an entirely new race of people, entirely new zone, entirely everything new. So they had to kind of show us what's going on in this area and what the vibe is.
Right, and in one of those videos, mainly the one for Bastion, we were able to see a very familiar face.
My boy Uther.
In that short, and I'm gonna let Anglai take over because he has some thoughts.
I was so happy when I saw Uther. He looked disheveled. Let's be honest. He kind of died at a bad time, by Arthas Menethil stabbing him with Frostmourne. It was basically him getting stabbed by his own son because he raised him as a true warrior paladin. And it was so great to see Uther in the lore again. Finally, we get to see him, and he is having problems moving on. In Bastion, you ascend into becoming an angel person, and then you go on and save souls throughout the universe and cosmos or whatever.
But you have to ascend, and the way to ascend is you have to forgive your past. So that was a big fade, was that Uther had trouble forgiving his past with Arthas.
And he just couldn't, and that was mainly because when he was stabbed by Frostmourne, the cursed blade left the scar in his very soul, so it was constantly burning his chest. And the angel watcher over him said, well, we need to find a way to fix this. And then she saw the scar and said, oh, I need to tell, management. I need to get up to see the boss. Hey, boss, this is really weird. We need to do something about this. And the boss lady was basically saying, no, I don't care. And so that angel said, I'll take matters into my own hands. Who did this to you, Uther? And he said, a guy named Arthas. He was kind of cool, but kind of went mad near the end of his life and killed me. And she's like, all right. And they break out his soul, get a hold of it. Now they're back in Bastion. They give Uther Arthas' soul. Uther is holding Arthas over the edge. I think he's even gripping him by, the neck, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
He's gripping him over and staring into. Arthas' eyes are closed.
Yeah, Arthas is not conscious at all
No.
during this entire thing, by the way. He has his hand ringed around his neck and is staring into him and brings him in for a nice gentle hug. I'm kidding. No, he lets go of Arthas. That is not my Uther. It was mainly the angel that was helping Uther that was kind of pushing him towards basically saying, do it, throw him over the edge. And Uther let Arthas go and sent him straight to the maw. It upsets me.
It was very rough.
It should have never happened that way. That's not my Uther. And hashtag not my Uther.
Right? The problem with Shadowlands 2 is that they had a lot of grand ideas that just weren't executed at all.
No.
For instance, there was those shorts I mentioned had Thrall's mom in them. And it was a big deal because we haven't seen her ever because she died when Thrall was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
So, we get to see her, we get to meet her and learn what she's been up to. They changed her from a warrior to a rogue, which is a little weird, but okay. It's the afterlife. You can do whatever you want.
I mean, people evolve.
And then they never show her again until Korthia, where she sees Thrall, and you're like, oh, hi! And she's like, you don't even get to talk to her. The only interaction she has with her baby boy, her son, the one she never got to see grow up, is an optional dialogue choice that you, the player, can do if you want. It's not a cutscene. It's not a little where they use the character models to talk. No, it's an optional dialogue choice.
Now keep in mind,
that's it.
In the lore, she sacrificed herself so that Thrall could live. She never got to see him grow up. The last time she saw him was a baby. And what do they say? I don't know, because I didn't do the dialogue option.
I did the dialogue option. Because I tried to do that everywhere I could.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like, hi, Mom. And she's like, my son, you've grown so much. How I've missed you. Tell me about your travels. He's like, there's so much to tell. I don't know where to start.
And that's
it. And then that's it. I mean, it's nothing of substance. I mean, Eagle-Eye, imagine you haven't seen your mom, and you don't really even know her. I mean, wouldn't you just be like, oh, there's so much to tell, I don't know.
Puberty was crazy.
No!
I miss you. End of dialogue.
So, wanna grab lunch later? I'm dead. Oh.
Do you eat? No, not really. Oh. Okay.
I guess I'll just go. I mean, that's what it was. It was so awkward, which I imagine it would be a little awkward because, you know, you grew up without her.
Yeah.
But come on, give us something.
Anything. Literally. It's also a notable character in the lore. So that was like a big thing about Shadowlands that people wanted to see, was all these past lore characters that have died off, that are in the story, that we would finally be able to meet and actually talk to, because we don't get them in the base game. They might be back in the Warcraft TCG, or not TCG, in the RTS, but not that many actually show up, at least not notable ones. Maybe some oddballs out there, but people that we've actually seen before, but none that people really cared about, I would feel.
No, it was actually really sad to see because there were so many cool ideas, but just none of them were executed well.
Poorly executed. And
it was poorly executed.
I feel like it was a bit of a rush expansion, I feel, just by story, because they had so many great ideas, and if they took more time, it would have been amazing. But it's so hard to explain Shadowlands. It's kind of like you had to be there moment.
It is hard, so we're going to do our best with kind of like an overview of the story, and we're going to get on side tangents, because Shadowlands was kind of where I realized how broken the lore was. Because when you look at all the other expansions that you do, and the stories, it can be such heartwarming moments. You know, Jaina seeing her mom forgiving her, Arthas's dad clutching his hand, and he's like, "Is it over, father?" And he's like, "No king rules forever, my son."
10 out of 10.
I mean, beautiful, tear-jerking moments. And here we get nothing.
Slop.
There's no heartwarming moments. And that scene, don't worry, I will complain about that scene.
And what's crazy is, usually throughout the expansion, like any World of Warcraft expansion, it gets a little bit better near the end. Because, you know, you gotta kind of warm up to these new experiences. But so far, I've noticed that Shadowlands either stays the same or starts to really drop off. I would say drop off, actually, the more I think about it.
It just got worse and worse. It's like they started so many storylines, and then halfway through, they're like, nah.
They put a plate of food right in front of the customer and said, "Here you go." And then they're like, "Wait a minute." And then they just threw the food off, and they're like, "Wait a minute." And then they threw the plate off, and they're like, "Hold on." Took the table away. And they're like, "Huh, wait, one more." And they ripped the chair from under you. Congratulations.
It got so bad. So let's start, and we've complained a lot.
We have. We will probably do that a lot for talking about Shadowlands. But the main lore is we get met up by Darian Mograine, who's in charge of the Ebon Blade Knights, because, you know, Bolfar got attacked. So he contacts the Ebon Blade. The Ebon Blade go out and contact the two major capitals, the Horde and Alliance, to help him go into the Shadowlands to try and retrieve people that were just stolen. Because when the Shadowlands were opened up, the jailer sent out some corrupted Valkyr and stole the major leaders of the Alliance and the Horde. So we meet up in ICC, we use the broken pieces of the Helm of Damnation from the Lich King to create a portal that will send us straight to the Maw. We go to the Maw, we help some people break out, we encounter Helia down there for like a short little clip, and then there's some goofy quests.
It does make for a funny moment between Thrall and Helia, because Thrall is like, "Don't worry, Champion, I can save you." And then he throws his axe at Helia's head, and Helia is like, "Ow! Why'd you do that?" And then she
laughs it off.
So we get thrown off the bridge, and then we're like, "Oh, run, run!" And then we stop, we look up, and we see this giant man of a creature holding Bane above
a cliff.
Over the cliff. And we're like, "Oh no, what's he gonna do with Bane?" And he does some dialogue, basically saying, "Nobody escapes the maw," because
put that in your back pocket.
Escapes the maw.
No one escapes.
So we're like, "Frick!" And he throws Bane off the cliff, and it's a very sad moment as we clutch Bane's hand. Anduin is desperately trying to heal him, and then Thrall goes, "This is a bad time right now, but I need to go get a weapon."
I need a new weapon. I threw it at Helia.
And I lost it.
So we have to go get Thrall a new weapon, and he can't make up his mind on a new weapon. He
cannot. So Bane's over there dying.
His legs shattered.
And Thrall's over there. Nah, not this one.
And keep in mind, the main villain is above us on the cliffside. The main villain of the expansion that's been propagandized toward us. His highly detailed chest is staring down at us.
He has 4 eyes. Wait, no, guys, that's just his nipples. Oh. It's bad. And then Anduin is like, "Champion, over here, I can help." And we're like, "All right, Anduin, what did you got?" And he does his little bubble thing. We try to figure out what's going on. We sneak through the vast armies. I mean, these armies are massive. Like,
I will say it was a good introduction for a villain to show how big of an army that we're dealing with. It was like the feeling of the Legion again, but we actually had a visual representation instead of saying, "Oh yeah, demons are infinite."
Yeah, it was really cool. And so we go to a cliff and we see his vast armies, and we're like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And then he backs us up into the corner, right? Because he's like, "You fools, I am the jailer."
And everything in the maw kind of looks the same, has the same art aesthetic, except for this weird thing that's behind us, which has a different art aesthetic. And what is this amazing thing?
Well, so that amazing thing is our ticket out of the maw, but nobody escapes the maw.
Nobody escapes the maw.
Except it's responding to the player character's touch.
No one else. It is us. We are the god heroes of the universe and cosmos. We are on the highest pedestal known to mankind. I hate it when games do that.
It's bad. So then we have no choice but to ditch Jaina, Thrall, Anduin, and Bane in the mall and go up to our home base, which is Oribos. And if you guys want more accurate Shadowlands lore, go watch Noble.
Oh yeah.
Lots of other people give like an accurate run. We're not going to go through every single thing that happens in Shadowlands, but we're just going to give a quick overview.
This is not a lore channel. Please keep that in mind.
No, we're trying to set up for the Re-Wright to happen. We just kind of got to go over. This is what we dislike about Shadowlands, the story as it happens in canon.
And some stuff we kind of like about it, too.
And then some stuff we kind of like. So, after we get to Oribos, we are met with these creatures, and they're like, "Oh, who are you? Nobody escapes the maw."
You smell horrible.
At least 4 people have mentioned the maw thing. But I did. Can we go get my friends? And they're like, no, so you can't because nobody goes back in the mall. So, and we're like, what? Nobody goes back in the mall? And they're like, yeah, except sometimes when you, the player character, have to go back into the mall. So they take us to the table and they explain to us that the angel that directs where souls go is broken. The Arbiter.
So when you die, every soul goes through the Arbiter, and the Arbiter decides which island that you get pushed out to, depending on what you were like in your life. And the Arbiter broke, for insert reason why here.
So when the Arbiter was directing souls, we see a red comet come through and attack the Arbiter. And we're like, okay, what's that? And they say, we don't know. And we're like, okay, we're going to hear a lot of I don't know. Yeah. So we get explained that, and then we're like, okay, so then probably the most useless person in the entire expansion that was supposed to be big news, Bolvar, doesn't do anything. He just stands at the table staring at it while we do all the work, naturally.
Mm-hmm. He's hurt. He got injured.
But then, as we go through the Shadowlands, but before I continue on about the jailer and his plans, I kind of have to ask the question, Anglai, do you know what makes a good villain in media?
He has big muscles and looks intimidating.
Well, that helps, but no, that's not what makes a good villain. A good villain makes his motivations clear. What does the jailer want? What does the jailer do to achieve those goals? What happens? How do we thwart plans of his if we don't know what those plans are? He never explains his plans. Ever.
Never. He kind of hints at it near the very end, but no. The entire time, it's just the stereotypical, because he's in hell, it is because he's bad. Therefore, we must stop him.
That's it, you guys. That's all he gives us. Is, yes, he threw Bane off a building. Or off a cliff, I should say. But he doesn't give us any explanation. For all we know, Sylvanas is the one behind everything. And the jailer is her puppet. But we're supposed to believe that this guy, this highly detailed nipple man, is the leader? He's doing all of this? What?
Why does he want to do it?
I don't know. He got bored on a Tuesday? I don't know.
Bored on a Tuesday. Before you go rage commenting, don't go in the comments and say what exactly is going on. We do know what's going on. We just haven't gotten to that part yet.
We're also trying to, we're building up the ultimate goal.
It's called suspense, guys. Gosh, get out of the comments. I see you typing.
Stop it, Gerald.
Stop it. Smack.
So we do. Okay, we learned this, and we also have Arthas's helm that Sylvanas broke. We have part of it because we had to use the pieces to get to them all. And through that, we could kind of see what the rune carver sees. And we can look past his memories, and we can also look into Turgast. And you're like, well, that's dumb. Why can't we see? Is Ner'zhul there? Is Ner'zhul the jailer? No, sweet Re-Writer. Anglai, do you want to explain why we see what the rune carver and the jailer sees in Turgast?
Because exposition.
Well, yes, but I'm talking about,
Oh, it was his... Okay, you're talking about the reason for everything in the World of Warcraft? Oh my gosh, okay. Can I go on my tirade?
Yes.
Oh, I've been waiting for this, and I'm so glad it's recorded. Let me just... If you can hear my chair, I need to get in a proper position for this. Guys! World of Warcraft lore has been established since forever that the big bad, that the reason for everything that's ever been in the Warcraft universe is because of Sargeras, the fallen titan from who went against the Pantheon's teachings and was kicked out, and he started the Burning Legion, aka the people that are going across the universe to, do all their stuff. In World of Warcraft, it was always noted that Sargeras is the big bad. And then we finally meet him in Legion for 2 seconds, then he gets beamed away and fights Illidan. Anyway, but actually we do find out that the Void is actually bad, so it's the old gods. But it's always been Sargeras is like the final battle. And turns out that in one expansion, aka Shadowlands, we find out that the big bad is actually the jailer the entire time. Everything that has been done throughout history that Blizzard have said, oh, it's because of this, no. For some reason, it's no longer, it's because of these specific reasons, it just funnels back to the jailer. It was Jailer's idea to talk to Sargeras to go throughout the universe. It was the Jailer's idea to talk to Sylvanas instead of Sylvanas talking to Helia to do whatever she's supposed to do, aka collect a bunch of souls. It was, and fracture the world. It was the Jailer's idea to talk to Ner'zhul while he was in the Lich King's helmet to create Ice Crown Citadel, to create a machine to transport energy across planes of existence. It was the Jailer's idea to talk to the Dreadlords in Revendreth to spread across the universe and play a bunch of 4D chess Cosmos edition. It was always the Jailer's plan. That's what they posted at the very end. It was the Jailer's plan the entire time. And that's why I hate this expansion. All of the established lore that they've carefully created throughout the entire Warcraft / World of Warcraft history is now all lies.
That's right. It was not because of anything else. It was because of the Jailer's brilliant plan.
He's so smart.
All along. Who would have thought that it was the Jailer? Instead of Agatha, it was Oval all along.
We were playing checkers while he was playing 4D chess.
It just was... Wow.
It's
you just
disgusting.
kind of had to sit back in your chair and go, what are you talking about?
I sat back and I looked at my library of books and I was like, all of those are useless now.
All of them are useless. The Helm of Damnation, Dominate, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Turns out that was the Jailer torturing the Rune Carver to make the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And the blade.
And the blade. Helia, she had nothing to do with it. We don't see her again until we have to go to the Paladin.
Order Hall?
Yeah, Order Hall to get the horn from Odin.
Oh, yeah.
And then Odin is like, hey, what's been going on? And we explain to him that Helia's been acting crazy. And he's like, oh, hell no. So then he takes care of Helia for us, and she's in the Shadowlands for all of 5 minutes.
Woo!
Because, guys, the Jailer's just so smart, and we're just so stupid.
The Jailer's so smart that he doesn't even know his own plans. So in Shadowlands, we go through the different sections of the islands, hopping and trying to help out their ecosystem, and we stop the bad guys, help the good guys, and then we go do some raids and dungeons and stuff like that. But it finally snaps back to the lore, which is we save everyone except for Anduin. Anduin is locked up, and Sylvanas is talking to Anduin, trying to make him see the way that she sees the world. How there's a problem with the universe, and everything is so bad and wrong, and life is horrible, and she's just trying to get Anduin to help get the Infinity Gauntlet put together.
Angela, if I could interrupt for a second.
Okay.
I had a side tangent, but this is perfectly something I want to talk about.
Yes.
If I was a Horde player in Shadowlands, I'm an Alliance, I would be so insulted. I would be so insulted because the Horde do nothing this expansion.
No,
they do nothing.
It is all Alliance base.
It is all Alliance based, which is...
It's Alliance and Death Knight based. That's it.
Which Death Knights obviously have Horde players, but I mean nothing. Sylvanas, we don't get any closure for the undead who were betrayed by her. We get no closure whatsoever for... In fact, it's such a joke because Bane Bloodhoof, after we save his life from being tortured, which I don't know why they kidnapped him in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
I do know why, guys, but you know what I mean.
It's a joke.
His character model literally sat down for 2 years straight.
They didn't even give him a chair.
No, they didn't give him a cushion.
He's sitting on the floor the entire expansion.
And if you talk to him, he's just like, hey guys, we're like, babe, do you want to help? You know, there's some stuff that we could use a big strong Tauren for. And he's like, nah, you're good.
Nah, I'm recovering.
A cough. Okay, Bane.
Did you say the word cough to represent coughing? No, sneeze.
Okay, Bane. And then Thrall does nothing. Thrall has done nothing for years now. It was a big deal to go get him for BFA, and he's done nothing.
Yeah, he really stand in the back.
I mean, it just, I just was like, when I heard Sylvanas talking to Anduin trying to convince him of something that she doesn't even believe. I mean, Sylvanas, I don't even know how to explain it. They tore her character apart.
Oh, it's horrible what they did to Sylvanas.
They did, her motivation's out the window. It makes no sense for what they did to her. They took somebody who cared so much about her people and wanted the undead to live
peacefully.
A good life, a peaceful life, and turned her into a power-hungry monster who only cares for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Not for her people, but for her own soul, which, if done cleverly, could be a good story. But it's not done cleverly. It's thrown together in this weird, mushy mess.
Yeah, and turns out she was a villain the whole time.
Ooh, shocker. Make the woman evil.
Make the undead woman a villain. Gross. Remember, Alliance good in this game. Wait a minute, what?
It makes no sense.
I hate that part.
And as an Alliance player, I do, but the one thing that I fell in love with World of Warcraft, I liked how there was no bad side for Horde or Alliance. It was people. You're a person going through. You don't know. All you know is what your kingdom is telling you to do, whether that be Thrall. And yes, you're going to make mistakes, but that's what makes a good balance of a game. Mm-hmm. Are the mistakes. You can't have one side make all the mistakes and dub them bad guys. You gotta let the good guys, the quote-unquote good guys, fall too.
Both the Horde and Alliance used to have a good mix between doing good things and bad things. And then I feel like they just threw the Horde literally under the bus.
Right, and whether you're like, well, Sylvanas isn't part of the Horde anymore. She still technically is, because she is still the leader of the undead. Remember that whole storyline of who you got to pick who you sided with, Sylvanas or Sourfane?
Yeah.
That Blizzard completely forgot about.
Oh, that's old. Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that in a while.
Yeah, that does nothing. You get special dialogue option with her. Great, fantastic. That's it?
Choose my side champion. Sure thing, my queen.
Right? And then, so then we're supposed to believe that she is trying to convince Anduin to join their side because she cares so much about Anduin and his free will, which makes, again, if done well, makes sense. She got her free will taken away. She couldn't pick. But instead of doing that, it just comes out of nowhere in a book. Yeah, in a book, guys, Sylvanas, which goes over her backstory because, you know, instead of in-game cutscenes, we have to put it in a book, so people who read the books are like, oh, that happened in this book.
Oh. And then people who play the game don't know.
You shouldn't have to rely on a book to get your lore across.
I can't read. It's hard for me, okay? I'm a visual learner.
I did read the entirety of the Sylvanas novel for some of my guildmates. But anyway, so continue with the Anduin. So I just had to go on a side tangent because I was so mad.
It was needed, I feel. All right, so she's trying to convince Anduin to help her create the Infinity Gauntlet for the Jailer, which at the time of Shadowlands, Thanos was a big thing. And I thought it was hilarious how they did a literally one-for-one copy of Thanos' gauntlet. And the whole entire jailer plan is to try and get to the place called Zareth Mortis. What is Zareth Mortis? I'll get to that in a little bit. Anyway, he needs to find the way to get to it. And the way to get to it is for him to collect all of these sigils, aka the Infinity Stones, from every covenant, from every island, and the ruler of it, to try and get them all together so that he can create this doorway. To get to Bastion, he needed a way to find someone holy enough to get up and close and personal with the leader and basically assassinate her. And Anduin kept on denying Sylvanas' requests of trying to see it her way, so then the jailer decided, you know what, let's do this the hard way, and uses Arthas' soul into, I don't know the name of the blade.
I'm not gonna pronounce it right, so we just might as well call it Anduin's father's blade.
Anduin's father's blade. Anduin's blade. He gets the rune carver to carve it up and basically mixes Arthas's and Anduin's soul to turn him into a paladin death knight to enter Bastion, which he was able to because they were like, ooh, look at that soul. That's a pretty clean soul. He's pretty squeaky clean. Wow. Bet he hasn't even kissed a girl.
Wow.
Let's be honest, we know he hasn't. Anyway, he goes up and close and personal with the leader, pulls out his blade, stabs her, gets a cool new Death Knight looking design, hates what he's doing, goes back to the jailer, hands in the Infinity Stone to him, and I think that was when he officially got all the pieces, which I just skipped a ton of lore, but it's not needed. Either way, he gets all the rest of the pieces of the Infinity Gauntlet together. Sylvanas realizes, I don't like the way that Anduin looks all mummified because he's in control of his own body. It was like me when I was a Banshee and I couldn't control myself when Arthas took over my body, and she decides to go against the jailer at that very moment that he finally has every piece that he needs for his master plan, and shoots one arrow at him in pure spite. And the jailer clearly just catches it.
He catches it, and then he's like, I wouldn't do that. Remember our deal. And with no foresight, we don't know what the deal is, guys. So we continue, and then turns out the things that he's been collecting for so long, he had to get from each of the leaders of the islands. So, which we thought, so Maldraxxus was kind of unique because they thought, we thought it was going to be one guy. I don't remember his name because he died within 5 minutes of getting to Maldraxxus.
Yeah, the poster child for Maldraxxus dies instantly.
Yeah, he's on the cover art for Shadowlands, and he dies instantly.
I don't even know his name.
I don't think anybody does. If you know his name, leave it in the comments below because it's been...
It's probably Tom or Richard.
Probably. I think Tom. But so it's a big deal because we're like, well, frick, who's going to control? Who's in charge of Maldraxxus for the rune, right? Because we're screwed. Hey guys, guess what? Surprise twist yet again. It was a rune carver. He was in hiding all along.
Aww. He
was a paragon of Maldraxxus. And so we're like, hey, guess what? We conveniently found the key. We've completely found the key for your second lock. We can set you free. So we set him free, and he turns around and expecting praise because, you know, we did a good deed. He looks at it and goes, are you insane? And we're like,
you're
what?
an idiot.
He's like, the jailer didn't know I was here. We're like, did he lock you up? He's like, yeah, but he didn't know who I was. I'm like, what?
That's a very important job.
The jailer didn't know. So then we freed him, and then the jailer was like, rune! And then he got the rune. And so we had to go through Korthia to remake the crests of each of the 4 islands. And great, fantastic work. We did it. And then the rune carver goes, I will make one more crown. And we're like, you're still gonna make our armor for us? Because I got like a Mythic Plus raid here in an hour. Can you still do armor? He's like, of course I can.
Of course.
But I'm going to make one more piece of armor for the runes one last time. And we're like, fantastic. And he's like, and I will use the helm of the Lich King to remake it. So we're like, oh, we're getting a new Lich King helmet?
New Lich King helmet drop, let's go.
And he makes it, and Glad, you would describe the helmet.
It's a fucking Burger King crown.
So bad.
It's the most
terrible.
blandest helmet I've ever seen in the entire game. It's horrible.
It's awful. So we get the new crown, and then we can, because it prevents us from the jailer. What's it called? Now I'm remembering. It's called some kind of magic.
Damnation.
Domination.
Domination
Magic.
Ooh woo.
Yeah. It prevents us from being controlled by it. So that's why we made the helmet. And so we're able to do all of that, and then finally it's time, to confront the jailer. And of course, naturally, we fight the jailer. He killed... The last key, of course, is in the Arbiter, right?
Yeah.
So we get that, and we kill him, but Sylvanas is injured, and she's unconscious, so we get to interrogate her.
Because the jailer gave back the other half of Sylvanas' soul back to her.
Which he has, because again, he's behind it all.
Turns out, retcon, Sylvanas' soul has been split this entire time. What?
That's right, folks. So now, she's back whole again, and now, apparently, she has a conscience that she didn't have before.
That's why
right?
she's been evil this whole time. Her soul has been evil. Her good part of her soul has been missing. Oh, why didn't I think? That is the worst. I just hate it. I hate thinking about the lore for Shadowlands again. And sadly, it's all canon now.
It kind of may hurt your brain a little bit. But,
Uther helps her.
He does help her. And so we're finally able, we have all the pieces now to go confront the jailer in the final raid of the expansion in Xerath Borders. I'm skipping over the Xerath Borders lore because it's dumb.
The first
Sepulchre
ones.
of the first ones. We finally confront the jailer. But first, Anduin, we have to free Anduin from the domination magic. We fight Anduin. It's a long and tough, it's really not that hard of a battle as somebody who's done it.
I wish I would have just
really
killed him.
It's not hard. So we finally free him, and oh, this part makes me so angry.
He has to free himself, and who better to be there with him in his own mind than his own father?
Varian Wrynn does make a cameo in this expansion, albeit very brief, but he does tell his son, you know, hey, you can do it. I believe in you.
I believe in you.
Papa believes.
And then all of a sudden, Blizzard's like, wait a minute, whoa. This has become very alliance heavy. We need some horde in here. Who's used that blade? Oh yeah, Sourfang. Throw Sourfang in that vision too. And then on the other shoulder, Sourfang comes out and he's like, with honor. And I'm just like, what? He used the blade once.
I wish this was a joke, you guys, but it's not. It's canon.
See, now Varian I understand, because it was literally a part of his soul was in that blade. But Sourfang used the blade once, and now his soul is a part of it.
Yeah. So, naturally, we finally free Anduin, and he's free, and Arthas' soul is freed. And everybody clapped and cheered and cried. And we're like, oh, right, we get to see Arthas, finally. It's
Finally
been
get
since
to see
Wrath of the
Arthas.
Lich King. It's been so long. I can't wait to see Arthas.
I can't wait to see his new model. What is he gonna say? We have Sylvanas, we have Jaina with us. We have so many people that he's touched through with his story.
Uther's there, so
Uther.
he can apologize and finally move on to the greater heaven.
All right, let's see. What does Arthas look like? What does Arthas look like?
You know when Night Elves die?
Yeah.
It's that, except worse.
What? He turns into A wisp?
A wisp.
A wisp.
A wisp.
A ball of light. We see Arthas as a ball of light. Doesn't even talk.
He cannot talk, for wisps do not have mouths.
And they say his soul is so damaged, that's all that's left is just... And the only person that gets to talk to him is Sylvanas.
Who forgives him.
And says basically, knock off.
And
I'm gonna have to censor that.
We cannot curse on YouTube.
But let's face it, that's how she says it.
It's true, listen.
She's like, now go away.
So after all of that, after all that pain and torture we went through, people were so excited to finally get to see Arthas as a reward for freeing Anduin.
Nothing.
And we get F all. We get nothing. Basically a huge middle finger to those Arthas fans who were looking forward, who were hoping, praying for a crumb of attention.
One historical person in all of World of Warcraft history is Arthas, and that's what we get. Yay. Anyway, we go to the jailer. It's the final fight. Everything is coming together as he planned. The machinery in Icecrown Citadel fires up. What? When did that happen? Anyway, he gets the flow of energy from Azeroth herself to go into Zereth Mortis, the creation of the first ones, to do a thing. And it's said that he wants to create a new universe in his own design. Yes, that's it. That's exactly what he's wanted this entire time, and we kill him. But not without a couple of parting words.
Which, as he lays there dying, back into the form he was created in. Because I forgot to mention, technically he was the first Arbiter and then got fired from that position. That's why he was replaced with a robot.
That's right. He was in charge of sending out souls where they were supposed to go, and he said, wait, this is wrong. This is weird. This is stupid. I don't like this. These souls deserve better. And everybody was like, no, do your job. And they casted him down to hell and called him the jailer. Yay.
Right, because a big part of kind of what we learned about Zoval, the jailer, is they believe that nobody deserves the law. So nobody deserves to go to hell. Even though there's a few WoW characters that I can think of that absolutely deserve the law. Garrosh Hellscream, from one instance, who we actually see in the raid. They do a good job with him. I liked his.
I did like that. I loved that scene. That made me laugh. I loved it.
But as he lays there dying and goes back to his old form,
marionette form,
he tells us with his dying breath, you have no idea what's coming. And we're like, what? What's coming? And he dies. So
it's a find out on next time on Dragon Ball Z.
It is one of the most underwhelming boss fights. I didn't feel good. I felt bad. I felt like I was beating up a random guy who just was like, don't worry guys, I've got this.
I felt disgusted because there was so much. So usually when there's story, you can try and piece together what they're trying to do. And with the first ones, they hid way too much. And supposedly the Titans, if you know your World of Warcraft lore, the Titans are the greatest, strongest things in the universe, right next to the Light Lords and Void Lords. But turns out those are just grains of sand in the cosmic universe compared to the first ones. They are the true beginners of design and creation throughout everything that has been and ever will be. Who are the first ones? What do they look like? What is anything at all? No idea. And that's it.
They haven't explained it.
What's the big thing that the jailer was trying to save us from? No idea. Was it the first ones he's trying to save us from? I don't know. Maybe.
And thus ended a very poorly explained, poorly put together expansion that left us with a lot more questions than it did answers.
Held together by duct tape, glue, and a stick of gum.
And now the result of Shadowlands, which never... Honestly, there wasn't a lot of repercussions from Shadowlands. Sylvanas was banished to the Maw by Tyrande, who got to decide her fate since Sylvanas did burn down the tree of Tedrasil.
Mm-hmm.
And Sylvanas accepted her punishment because now she has a conscience. So, good job, everybody. We did it.
Woo!
Anduin's standing over there, sulking. And again, Greymane goes over to him and says, "What's wrong, my boy? We could go home." And he's like, "I can't go home again.
I'm a murderer.
I can't face him. I killed somebody." "No, Anduin, she's fine. She's right there. You didn't kill her."
The lady that he stabbed survives.
And it was like, "I'm a monster. Don't look at me." To the man who could literally turn into a wolf. So.
And then Anduin runs away for the next expansion because he's a baby.
We don't see him until the War Within, where he does look admittedly hotter. Gosh, beards can do things for men. But we don't see him again until the War Within. And that's it. That's the story of Shadowlands.
And we wanted to do this as a two-parter, maybe more. I don't know how many will actually come out. But we wanted to establish some brief lore for those of you that don't know and what we did and did not like. So, yes, there will be definitely a part 2.
We definitely have to cut it because we don't want Diosa to hate us.
Sorry, editor.
Sorry, Diosa.
Sorry.
Love you. Don't kill us. So, we're going to cut it here. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please stay tuned for part 2, where we actually rewrite the episode.
Unlike the jailer, we will actually have more to say.
We actually have a good foundation of what we want to change in Shadowlands, and we have a good enough idea of how to fix it. But again, this is our opinion on how this isn't obviously canon, but this is how Angela and I feel like we can fix it. So stay tuned for part 2. Any last words before we leave?
Yeah, if you made it this far, then you guys are definitely not watching the video. You're just playing it in the background as you cook or clean. And wow, you missed a spot. You might want to get that real quick. We do have a Patreon. Come help us support us there if you want to. We have the Discord up and running. Come over, play the Average Joe challenge with me. I stream, I'm gonna try and do every other Tuesday. I don't know what else. Oh, like, comment, subscribe. I don't like saying this stuff, but supposedly it makes people do it, so do it. Otherwise, I won't be able to do anything.
Otherwise, Shadowlands will be the only expansion you will ever play. Maybe. That's right, I'm threatening you.
I'm threatening you. Is the threatening working?
I hope so. Anyway, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that bell to be notified when Angela and I post again. Because, gosh, we need therapy after this. Please pay for our therapy bills.
Please. We love you, Re-Writers.
Alright, I've been Dry. That's Angle Eye.
Woo!
We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.